You are listening to Radio Maria Canada. We now present the Health Hub, hosted by Kathy Biasi.
Welcome to the Health Hub on Radio Maria Canada, exploring cutting-edge health and wellness information and therapies, helping you to take your health to the next level. I'm your host, Kathy Biasi, and I'm an holistic nutritionist and a professional cancer coach. On today's episode, we are talking with Rafael McMaster about why it's so important to be proactive about our children's mental health and how early support helps them to grow into caring, connected individuals. Instead of waiting for problems to escalate, we can build habits and environments that strengthen emotional well-being from a young age. And at the same time, we can help our children develop a collective consciousness. Rafael McMaster is a creative director, artist, and youth mental health advocate who has dedicated his life to uplifting youth through a fresh approach to mindfulness and creativity. As the founder of Indivisible Arts, Rafael leads a transformative youth development nonprofit that equips young people with practical tools for emotional resilience and self-control. His unique blend of mindfulness, mentorship, and creativity has made a profound impact on youth across Los Angeles, particularly those facing adversity. After a successful creative agency career, including 5 years as a creative executive at creative artists agencies, Rafael shifted his focus from creative industry to community impact. What began as a volunteer effort at his daughter's school evolved into a thriving nonprofit, a public gallery space, and an after-school program grounded in tools-based mental wellness and creative freedom. Alongside learning tools for mindfulness, youth get to explore a wide range of creative media, including everything from portraiture, sculpting, to music production, and 3D design. McMaster's newest endeavor, the forthcoming book of Fundamental Life Tools, offers a hands-on toolkit for emotional well-being rooted in the same practices that have been empowered youth through Indivisible Arts' flagship curriculum, Creative Wisdom Tools. Whether he's coaching individuals to turn pain into power or guiding teens through transformative creative practices, Rafael brings depth, heart, and visionary thinking to conversations about healing, growth, and the future of mental health. In our show, we talk about, the heading of this whole thing is, why do we need to be proactive about our children's mental health? What do we know now that we didn't know many years ago that can help children develop a strong mental health profile? What is Indivisible Art? That is something that, as mentioned, he created. It's a beautiful program that I would really like to explain to you, to have him share with you. It's a beautiful program that he's created. And what are the 7 fundamental tools, so 7 fundamental life tools that are paramount to his programs? Please stay tuned. Rafael's a wonderful guest, and it'll be a wonderful show. And we'll talk to you in just a few minutes when we return to the Health Hub.
You are listening to Radio Maria Canada. We now continue with the program, The Health Hub, hosted by Kathy Biasi.
Welcome back to the Health Hub, everybody. Please do follow us on our social sites. We are on Instagram X and Facebook, and we are at the Health Hub RMC on all locations. Raphael, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
When I was researching you and looking into how we wanted to approach this, so I was overwhelmed by just what you're doing and the space that you're working in mental health with kids. Before we get into the whys of that, how did you find yourself, as the forefront of this great movement that you are creating?
It's through the school of hard knocks. It's through experience. It's through having walked the path and hit rock bottom. So part of my story is that I'm 10 years into recovery, and the path that it took to get me there, and the way that I found myself there, to what seemingly no fault of my own, right? I believed in the Hippocratic Oath, and I was surrounded by psychiatrists and doctors that were really willing to prescribe me things that sent me down a terrible path. My heart goes out to anybody who they believe they're just following good guidance of their Western-minded doctor, that is prescribing them things like Adderall for ADD, or Vicodin for pain, or Xanax for anxiety. It's very believable. But it's hitting that rock bottom and realizing, man, this could happen to anyone. In fact, it's happening to millions, that really put a fire in my heart for all the people who may not be able to find the support that I found to be able to walk this path successfully.
Were you a teenager when you entered into this
No, yeah,
part of
this
your life?
this is in adulthood, right? This
In
is,
adulthood.
at age 29, I was raising a family. I had a newborn that wouldn't get on a sleep cycle, and I was starting at a really high-powered agency job. That was like a lot of pressure. So naturally, I go to the local psychiatrist. Local psychiatrist, what can you do to help me?
Mm-hmm.
Now knowing what I know, boy, it would have been really nice if he taught me about breathing and some tools, maybe some mindfulness. But instead, within 30 seconds, he wrote me a prescription for Xanax, and I was on my way. I had no idea. He's a doctor. He's a doctor. He's here to help me. He seemed very assured of this path, of this medication. Sure enough, Xanax really works. It really does get rid of all the anxiety for a little bit. But there's a price to pay, particularly if a person continues to take it and it continues to increase over the years. I think there's some, 7 or 8 million people taking these benzodiazepines, Xanax, Valium, and so on. It's meant for short term. They turn around, they've been taking it for years, and maybe their personality is changing and they're the last one to know.
Is it social norm that is built into sort of the expectation of how someone is supposed to behave? ADHD is a funny one, especially in younger children, because what behavior it takes to diagnose a child with ADHD just seems so broad, and some children are so active, overstimulated. But is it the fact that we have this overwhelming idea that there should be a way to behave and a way to sit and a way to study that is, building up to the medications that are prescribed to the kids? Do we need to be able to take a step back, breathe, and let them expand and see where they go?
Yeah, you absolutely nailed it, right? And it's pretty wild. In our program, I sat down, one of my top students, this kid, practices mindfulness. He's got parents that are psychologists, and he said something about his new ADD medication. And it caught me off guard because he must be fourth grade, fifth grade. I'm like, wow, your parents are informed and you're on medication, and you have tools. And so then I looked up quickly on my phone, what are the symptoms of someone with ADD or ADHD, and I read them out loud to the class and said, "Who here feels like this?" And 100% of the kids raised their hands. And quite honestly, I think anyone, or particularly any adult who owns a phone and interacts with their phone, has been interacting with their smartphone for the last 13 years, is probably going to identify with the basic you know, inability to keep attention for more than 5 seconds, all of these different things, which I think to our degree, our brains are being entrained behaviorally. You know, the Nielsen Q3 2024 estimates that Americans are on a screen 8.5 hours a day. So if I'm on a screen for 8.5 hours a day, day over day, week over week, geez, most certainly it's going to entrain my brain to behave with a certain behavioral pattern. The the That's going to look like ADD. It's going to look like someone with ADD or ADHD.
There are certainly research papers out there showing that children's minds are going to be rewired differently than our minds, which is going to lead, in my humble estimation, to a gap between parental understanding and the actual behavior of children, because we're not like that. We are able, as in my generation, I am able to sit and work through something, take a few steps, see the bigger picture. And these articles aren't saying that these children's brains are wrong. They're just going to be different, and they will be a quicker brain. They will want quicker gratification. So the way they will go about problem solving, the way they will go about their daily lives is just going to necessarily be different because of everything that is put in front of them. And do you think that's a problem for parents trying to, navigate this whole area of mental health with their children?
Well, you absolutely nailed it. That not only is this younger generation, which generationally we're always different.
Absolutely.
You add on this completely different layer of, a kid who got an iPad at age 4 because it was easiest for their parents to babysit them, or pacify them for a while, for 3 hours, put on another movie, But here's, something you touched on that I think is really profound is the gap between the understanding of the parent and the kid. And what is hidden in that gap is the fact that the parents are changing too. And I can tell from talking to you that you're a conscious person. You understand mindfulness, you understand observing your thoughts. Most people aren't necessarily conscious people. And now, you have tens of millions of people that have gone down the road of Candy Crush, or whatever the newest app is, having no idea that their brain is starting to change its behavioral patterns. Tell you what, I see a pattern happen a lot with my program, which is I'll get a text from a number I don't know. It'll be a mom who's distressed. Hey, I heard about your program. My kid's really struggling. How quickly can they get in? And it's great. They can come today. Oh, wow, that's amazing. And I meet the kid and I hang out with the kid. We go for a walk. We do art together. And these kids are awesome. I'm like, wow. It's surprising to me that the parent would perceive their kid is struggling. Their kid actually has it together. And then I meet the parent, and the parent's struggling, and the kid's trying to survive the parent. And that's a pattern I see a lot where, because the challenge with me as an adult is that my reality makes sense to me. I think I'm making sense. The problem is if I start to go down a path where I stop making sense and I'm the last one to know. And I've been lucky enough going down this path of being, addicted to pharmaceutical drugs through my doctors and essentially losing my mind over a 5-year period and going to rehab, getting clarity, becoming conscious and having an awakening and beginning this new path of service and serving this next generation so that they don't have a story similar to mine. And in that path, learning the humility that, maybe what my brain is saying to me isn't always right. Maybe that story isn't real. Maybe those voices aren't ones I need to identify with. But I would go out there to say the majority of the people, more than 50%, aren't reading Eckhart Tolle, aren't practicing mindfulness, aren't the aware observer of their minds, and therefore they are the amalgamation of what the voices in their heads are saying, that cacophony of the ego, and they're living that out, and having a phone in their hands for 14 years is exacerbating elements of it where it's, their brain patterns are changing and they don't know. They assume they're in the right. And this has its own kind of invisible peril, so to speak.
Well, as humans, we're a moment in time, right? We think our lives, we know intuitively we're here for a short period of time. But when you're raising a child and you're going through struggles and you're trying to navigate something that is really relatively new when it comes to parenting and all the information that not only parents have at their fingertips now, but the children have at their fingertips now. This space of mental health, and it's just observational, is put upon us because we're still trying to figure out the ins and outs of everything.
Mhm.
And parents, I don't blame parents for being helicopter parents because we're trying this app show. I remember I've got 4 kids. 3 of them were each 2 years apart, and then I had a gap, and my fourth one came 5 years apart. The first 3, social media really wasn't a thing. Texting wasn't a thing. Phones really weren't a thing until they were in high school. Much different from the younger child. And I'm trying to keep up with what I don't even know what the apps were at that time, right? Can I have this app? Okay, well, you're going to mirror my phone so I can manage that app. And can I do this on my phone? Well, let me see. And you're almost thrown into this whole idea. I've got to be right there watching everything because it's changing in a minute. And, on top of all that is we have really come to a time where mental health is openly discussed.
Mm.
And this is a fairly new platform, too. So, as we think 10 years is a long period of time, but it really isn't a lot of time to wipe away sort of the cloudiness of certain mental health problems.
Mhm.
A lot of our children are going to have to figure it out on their own.
I hear what you're saying, and totally agree. And honestly, I think we're just in the Wild West still.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're in the beginning years of something we do not understand,
Yeah,
right? And I think exacerbated by a pandemic that all of a sudden 8 hours a day on a screen was like normal,
mm-hmm.
right? And that escalated things, I think, greatly.
And you're at
And
home all the time with your parents. A lot of
how,
these kids.
yeah. How long did humankind, smoke tobacco until we figured out, oh wait, smoking for 60 years is perilous,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, we're in the infancy stages of our relationship to the smartphone, apps, social media. We don't have an understanding of its effect, and we probably won't for a minute. And by the time we're at ability to get a handle on that, well, we're grappling on whatever AI has become at that point,
Yeah,
right? And so
exactly. It's another
the
thing.
the perils continue, and there is a way out beyond trying to triumph over the whatever the peril du jour is, right? The fears, the worries will always be there. Before it was saber-toothed tigers, and then it was being drafted into the Roman military, and then it was, throughout time, there have always been these perils. And as parents, I am both hardwired and compelled by my soul and my heart to do absolutely everything I can to defend and support and take care of my kid. And so, when parents are on DEFCON alert because the behavior on their kid's phone, it's very understandable. And the good thing is, and from my opinion, is that there is a way out, and the way out of the struggle is age old and timeless. And so the way out through tools in my inner experience are the same way out that, Buddha began teaching 2,600 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they're eternal and built into humanity, and they give relief, right? They give relief. My apologies. They give relief. They give um, clarity. And for me to transform my pain and frustration and anger around the outside world can be done by me transforming how I'm experiencing reality on my inside world. And everyone has access to these set of tools. They're inherent within us. And the reason why I think this is so valuable is the world that we're heading into at the intersection of social media, screens, AI, and a bunch of other things that we're seeing on the news. When all of those collide, boy, that seems like a really overwhelming experience. And human overwhelm has been with us throughout all of our existence. And these tools are what they used back then. And so I feel grateful to know that I have tools that take me from feeling like the sky is falling and I'm overwhelmed to I have inner peace, I have clarity, and actually I can find gratitude in this moment because I'm even alive at all. Is it not amazing to even be alive at all? And if I can get there, and if my kid can get there, and if the kids can get there on their own, and now we have teenagers teaching other teenagers how to get there, right? It's one thing to start building life rafts. It's another thing to teach teens how to teach other teens to build life rafts. And that's what we're doing with great effect, great high efficacy. And I think we've really stumbled on something that can help a lot of people for free in this world. And that's the whole point of the mission that I'm on.
And wouldn't it be nice if there was something similar for the parents who really do want to do the best that they can and giving them the tools to work with their own children?
Sure. I mean, and the tools are universal, right? These tools aren't just for kids. We're just beginning with teaching the kids because with them, we don't have any unwiring to do. We don't have any,
fair.
30 years of uncoding and deprogramming to do. So they have a fresh mindset. So they pick up these tools and begin using them right away. But the tools in the book, which is on Amazon, is completely relevant and available to adults. And it's post-college grad level consciousness stuff, right? So that's not childish in any way. We just made the decision that we were going to start with the local students. And in part proves and shows, hey, a 7-year-old can get this, a 9-year-old can get this. And once they do, and when we see those 9-year-olds that are now 15-year-olds in our community, man, oh man, that is a different kind of kid. That is a different kind of teenager when then that developmental stage between 9 and 12, when that ego is first being developed. Well, if the tools and coding that are present during that time are, mindfulness, radical acceptance, how to set intentions a la Joe Dispenza, and compassion a la Thich Nhat Hanh, when these are the different elements and essential ingredients there during that developmental stage, well, what comes out is a completely different 15-year-old. And they've been subject to all of the same phones and porn and video gaming and all the ubiquitous challenges. Same challenges, different result in the kid.
Well, doesn't that bode well for the next generation of parents, right? It's a wonderful thing that you're doing when you can cultivate the consciousness in a child, because they will be the parents. They will be the generation that can teach the children.
Yeah, absolutely right. And never, what an amazing time to be alive. I mean, let's just sit with this for a second. Like the average person alive today in a modern country has a higher standard of living than royalty, even just 200 years ago. Whether it be I can take as long as a hot shower as I want, I've got hot food, medicine, soap, literacy, Wi-Fi. What a time to be alive. The idea that I could want to send a message, type something with my fingers, shoots to a local satellite, triangulates suborbital, goes down to New York to another triangulation of satellites into the person's phone instantaneously. What an amazing time to be alive. And so with that, there has never been a time in human history where ideas can spread like wildfire. I mean, just look at a TikTok, talking dog that goes viral, whatever it is. If all of a sudden 10 million people can get with an idea, and if this idea is to be conscious, to be the aware observer of our thoughts, which is one thing to say it and make sense of it and say, yeah, that makes sense, but it's another one to practice it with enough repetitions, that it begins to become the state of the person. And that's what these kids are able to testify to each other. When you've got a 10-year-old girl testifying to all the 7-year-olds and the 15 and 16-year-olds, hey, check out this awareness stuff. I'm here let me explain how this works. And she's breaking it down. Well, the 15 and 16-year-olds say, oh, cool, this is, the 10-year-olds get this. What is this? And they near get it right away because it's being transmitted within their own generation. So ultimately the goal is, in which where we're at, it's no longer me teaching. It's the Gen Z teaching Gen A or vice versa, just all of them teaching each other. It lands in a different way when they're able to articulate it in their own words, nascent to their own generation, and with a sense of kavi. And what kavi is, it's a Sanskrit concept. Kavi is the energy in someone's voice when what they're saying is from lived experience. It is not an idea. It is not made up. It is truth because it's been experienced. And you can feel that in someone's testimony when they've walked the path and like, this is real. So these kids modeling awakening for each other, right? I mean, it's wicked. Today I have a crew of 14 teenagers coming here. This is free time in the middle of the summer. And what we do is we go and we circle share on one of these tools. And then we go start filming, and they start filming each other, these videos that are on this platform, to where any teen can come and start learning the tools and start learning it from other kids, talking about, oh, here's how I overcame, college admissions stress. Here's how I overcame my first car accident. It wasn't my fault. I still felt ashamed. It felt guilty. Then I remember this tool of radical acceptance. It is what it is. And I remembered that all of those voices in my head, through the tool of awareness, that's not me. I'm the one listening to those thoughts, and those thoughts are like programs. And if that program's going to tell me I'm stupid for making this mistake when it wasn't my fault, then that's how I'm going to feel. And I don't want to feel that way. So let me change the program. Let me say something different. And that's where creativity comes involved. So I think creativity and the ability to not only observe my thoughts, but then replace them with something better. Right? There's that subtlety in consciousness. If I'm observing my thoughts, it has a certain energy to it. But the moment I begin to talk to my brain, the moment I begin to create or co-create by giving it instructions, hey, you know what? I'm going to have a great day. Well, that has a different energy to it. My head is saying, I'm an idiot for getting a car crash. I'm saying instead, you know what? People make mistakes all the time. It's going to be okay. This is what I have insurance for. Wow, the programs that start running then are very, very different programs. And that's me expressing my creative sovereignty. Well, if that's not coming from my brain, if something's talking to my brain, then this begins the experience of being in my soul, being in my higher self, whatever we want to call it, right? Coming from that place, then speaking to my brain as the computer that runs the programs that makes me go. This is a set of language that these kids can understand because they've grown up with programming. They've grown up with computers. They've grown up with coding. I'm able to talk through consciousness and awareness and all these things through analogies of gaming, apps, coding, programming, the matrix, paradoxes, things that they understand at age 10 because of how they've grown up that no other generation has. And it gives us the leg up to be able to articulate these concepts that otherwise might seem abstract, but now they feel real as day, and it makes sense to these kids.
It's wonderful. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Raphael, I'd like to talk about the actual program, how it started, and your new book that is available for everybody. And maybe we'll go over a few of the tools if we have time. Everybody will be back in just a couple of minutes.
You are listening to Radio Maria Canada. We now continue with the program, The Health Hub, hosted by Kathy Biasi.
Welcome back to the Health Hub. We're going to get right into our second half. Raphael, this started off as a project within your daughter's classroom, I believe. Tell us a little bit about that. And then I really want you to expand and explain about the book you have and what the program is and where you see this going in the future.
Sure thing. Thank you, Kathy. So the intention and the vision itself came before helping my daughter in her class. And the intention was this. I was leaving my old career. I'm 35 years old. What is the greatest amount of service that I can do in my lifetime with the remaining amount of my life? And I had just had awareness taught to me in a way that created this awakening. And I realized this message of mindfulness taught in a fresh way, in a different way, in a way that's resonant and fresh to this youngest generation, that would be a worthy mission. And for whatever intuitive feeling, or actually because my background is creativity, art direction, creative direction, I'm like, I'm going to teach everything I know about art and creativity to whatever next generation is, create an opportunity for that, infuse the consciousness with it. And then I reached out to my daughter's elementary school and said, hey, can I talk to the art teacher? I really want to volunteer. And they said, oh, we don't have an art teacher. What? You don't have an art teacher? No, we haven't had one in like 6 years. So that stopped me in my tracks right there. Like, whoa. The same week, I decide, you know what? I'm going to show some of my art. I've been painting for 20 years. I've always given away as a gift, but after 20 years, it's starting to get pretty good. Let me go show at a local gallery, Hermosa Beach Gallery. 0 results. So I'm raising my family in a city that has no art in the elementary schools and no galleries. And that was, a flashpoint where I said, okay, how can I create an elegant solution that solves for the fact that local kids don't have art, the fact that I'm committed to service and trying to create consciousness through creativity on this planet, and the fact that the city I'm in doesn't have a gallery. And so the elegant solution to that was to create a nonprofit, which is now Indivisible Arts 10 years later. Our mission at Indivisible Arts is to teach creativity, consciousness, connection through the power of art. And we have a creative laboratory here in Hermosa Beach called Resin. And you'll see it on Instagram as resin_lab. And it's a creative laboratory. I mean, it's, you walk in there. I'm going to walk in there later today after this podcast. There's a music album being recorded upstairs right now by a 10-year-old phenom. She's a phenomenal songwriter, and being produced by a 22-year-old. And that's in the music studio upstairs. There's a fashion line being created for back to school for fall with our young fashion designer program. There's a spray paint alley. There's another room where 2 paintings are being painted by young 20-year-olds for a fundraiser that's coming up for another great cause this Saturday. And in the front room, we've blacked it out so it has projectors, and the entire thing is an immersive exhibit created by 2 young men in their 20s. And so the entire creative hive, right, is resonating and emanating this energy that is the creative frequency of this next generation. Mm-hmm. And then 3 more hours from now, I'll be hosting a bunch of these teenagers to hold circle and talk about the tools through their firsthand experience, which primes them to then shoot content, which will go onto this platform. And this platform is, we've launched a beta version of it. We look to fully populate it by around this time next year, in which case, I hope it'll be a force to be reckoned with, because it'll a place that any teen can go, any person can go, but really focused on Gen Z for right now, for different reasons. And they can start learning tools that start giving them relief now. And they can learn it from other teens who look like them and sound like them and have similar problems. And what these teens are finding is shooting these videos. It's almost like a confessional video, but it's tool function utility based, right? So you talk about the thing that you went through. I got a flat tire. They're letting it out. They're talking about it. And then they bring up the tool of the 7 tools, or it's really the combination of tools that they use to transform their energy and consciousness around this problem or issue or challenge. And here's how I feel now. This is how I felt then. Here's how I feel now. And they're finding by shooting these videos themselves that it's a cathartic processing of it. If your therapist isn't available, your friend isn't available, you can come to this site and not only learn these tools, but once you know the tools, you can teach them to others by processing your reality as it happens as a form of coping. And this was an unintended byproduct of us pursuing this vision. But now these kids are starting to express this. And it's like, oh, wait, we've built a hive for teens to come home to be able to get it off their chest and teach others in the process with a critical, element being that it's tools based. So this isn't a person complaining about their math tests. This is saying, I don't like math. Me saying that through awareness, that is not me. That is a thought form. I don't like math. And you know what? If I'm running that program and that belief all the time, well, guess what? I'm really not going to like math. So let me change that program to I am grateful that I have a free education, a math teacher that cares about me learning. I intend on going to college and I like growing. And so this helps me on my intention towards growing and going to college. Well, that's a much healthier mindset instead of programs to be operating.
Well, so when it comes to the future, you're launching this hopefully in a year, you said, or you're having your platform available. So this is a divergence from the initial Indivisible Art,
I would
right?
say a dimensionalization of it.
Dimensionalization of it.
Yeah.
So looking forward in your plan, you can expand digitally. Where do you see the actual hands-on art piece of your project going?
Okay. And to speak of it, it's not it's is the reason why it's diverge or dimensionalization and not divergence is that it's part of a system, right?
Okay.
Now, the emergingc.org is available to go to now if anybody wants to check it out. It's prototype beta version. We'll be adding more populating more videos as the year goes on to like hit some sort of critical mass by this time next year. And it's part of a system that includes this platform, a book that speaks about these tools very specifically, another place they can learn the tools online, meetings, sharing, right? Setting up a whole system of meetings and setting up a system where a person has an up chain and a down chain, almost like sponsor and sponsee, which creates continuity and links inside the culture. Because that system brought together can actually, I believe, I've hypothesized, and I'm going to find out, build an actual massive culture, which is different than programs that aren't multidimensional to create that type of relationship and connectivity. And the art part, the purpose of the art part is so that it becomes a vehicle for the message. Mm-hmm. The fastest way to spread ideas is through art, culture, music, lyrics. And so there is a creative hive here in South Bay, LA County, that is pulsing with this next generation's sound and fashion and ideas. And those are built upon a house of consciousness. And something really amazing is brewing. But if we want to try and make something viral that makes it so all of a sudden 8 million other teens are really into this new mindfulness wrapped up in culture, so that it's not so blunt mindfulness, it's interesting and it's just cool. Mm-hmm. It's being clear-minded and zen. I don't know, they're going to come up with something and it's going to be theirs to make up, but when we hear it, we'll understand it. It'll be their way of saying, oh, this sense of clarity when I'm zen or conscious or mindful, oh yeah, we call it this. And whatever that is going to be their rallying cry, because it's their path out of suffering. And these kids have I have the luxury, the opportunity to be talking with kids and teens all day long about these types of topics and about their suffering, their challenges, their overcome, their consciousness, how they relate to the world, what they see. And there's something inherent that most adults don't know. And I got these answers by asking them, well, tell me something that most adults don't know that I really need to be telling them. And here's two things that came out that really this. I brought it up to the other kids and they 100% like, yep, we all feel that. So this is part of what they wake up with each day. One energy is this. It's a resentment towards the adults for this. The adults optimistically and cheerfully encouragingly say, you're going to be the generation that saves the world. We believe in you. Put our kids first. They're the heroes. And the kids are saying, whoa, whoa, that's a lot of pressure to lay on me, man. Like, I just got here and you guys are the ones who messed up the world. And you're handing it to me and saying, you can do it. That's real. And like most adults just don't ever consider that. The second is this, that that for a lot of them, Snapchat, for example, is a very, very meaningful form of communication for them. And that there are communication apps that get bucketed in with all the other apps. And when those communication apps get cut off because, well, stop doing all the phones, stop doing all the apps, whatever it is. And some of them, whether it be text or Snapchat or whatever it is, they're actually being used to fill that basic need for connection. And it would be ideal if all the kids went out and got connection in person. There's nothing quite like it. It is the jam. And I'm not saying digital connection's the thing. However, the difference between a person having some digital connection versus having none and beginning to feel disconnected, that's a big thing. And once a kid or anyone begins to feel disconnected and they start believing the thoughts in their head as them, as real, as truth, as reality, that is the foundation for mental health issues.
Well, this
That
is the
single thing right
disconnect
there.
we were talking about before, right?
It's
Us
it's
not understanding, just pick up the phone or
right.
just
Yeah.
go and knock on the door. That's not the way of the world anymore. And we understand that as parents. It's just we don't know what to do with it, I think.
We don't know what to do with it. We're participating in it in ourselves. I mean, how many parents that talk about their kids' phone usage, you look over at them and they're on their screen.
Right? Mhm.
So the struggle's real. The struggle's ubiquitous. And we as adults are the ones that created this environment. So I think it's a little bit fascinating for us to be pointing at the kids' behavior when we're the one who ushered in all of this. They didn't ask for this. I bet they'd love to be playing by the river with sticks in the woods. I bet that would feel really pure,
Mhm.
but that's not available to them. And that's not how they were conditioned by the world that we adults created.
Well, that's 100% right. And so this is where we're left with. And this is why the next generation is getting this burden of bringing us out because we were thrown into it and we had no idea. And we're just trying to swim to the top. So, hopefully with people like you and guidance like you, these kids are going to be able to meet the challenge. I see it in younger parents now where they have a very clear plan of when a phone can be initiated, when the TV can be initiated, when screen time. I think that they are getting the hang of this. I do see a lot of positive things coming from experience, but like people like you that are out there really pushing hard to support the kids. If people, I can't imagine that people listening to this won't have some type of, inspiration or, I'd love to be involved in some way. Is there an avenue for people to get involved? Are you would you
Absolutely.
would you do a satellite like art center, a hub like you have in Hermosa?
Yeah, I'll say start with this. Anything and everything is possible. Straight up. Now more than ever. So we'll start with that. Where you can find us is indivisiblearts.org, and you'll find a volunteer tab. In the
Okay.
volunteer tab is a form you can fill out, and then we'll be connected. And then we can begin exploring the possibilities. One of the fastest and easiest ways to get connected is there's a book on Amazon. It's only $12. The money goes back to the nonprofit. And that book has the 7 tools in it. And if you, as a parent, sit down with your kid and begin reading the book together and both learning it together, then not only will your kid have these tools, but you, as an adult, probably already know about forgiveness, but want to get really skilled at it. Probably know about compassion, but can always deepen it. Probably know about intention, but it'd be a good time to reset it right now. By walking the path alongside them, you will both have not only the tools for yourself, but a language to be able to talk to each other. I can't tell you how many times I get a text from a parent who's at a dinner and they're laughing, saying, "Oh my gosh, I was complaining about the traffic the whole way here. And my kid, who's a student of yours, told me that I need to have acceptance. It's going to be what it's going to be. It is what it is. Let's just breathe and have fun in here." And they thank me for it. They're laughing. They're like, "Dude, I got called out and it was perfect. I love this." right? Yeah. So yeah, the tools are ready and available, and I stand by this. These are just as much adult industrial grade tools. This isn't some kid. This isn't childish, but the truth is kids can understand it too.
And the platform is solely focused on children. This is
Yeah.
not okay.
Yeah, the Emerging Consciousness Broadcast Center is for the teens by the teens. That is specific to that. The book and the tools themselves are universal.
Okay. And to get to the platform, we go to the Indivisible Arts.
Yep. And
So everything is there.
Everything is there, and you can find it at the Emerging C, as in the letter C.org. The Emerging C.
Okay. I'm not sure that I have that. I should put that in.
Oh, we'll get that to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
.org. Wonderful.
So do you want to hear about some of the tools?
Yes, I do.
So the first tool, which we did talk about, we touched on, and maybe you're a listener hearing this for the first time. I didn't have this tool brought to my awareness till I was 35 years old. So anyone for whom this might seem new, I get it. And for those that feel like it makes sense, maybe it's in the process of deepening. And then there's the people that already know. And if you already know what this is, then you're shaking your head saying, yeah, awareness is the thing. To live as the observer of my thoughts, to live as the aware observer of my thoughts is that first fundamental building block for rebuilding my consciousness. Now, Kathy, hopefully your editors can edit this out. Can you hear the dog barking in the background?
Don't worry about the dog. Let's get through the tools. Okay. It's absolutely fine. We're living in that world right now.
All right. Well, then that leads perfect for the next tool, which is acceptance. Accepting the dog is barking. Accepting in this moment there's nothing we can do about it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Surrender. Letting it go. Letting go of control and expectations and surrendering that everything is what it is. Let me be at peace with this. Because that's ultimately what acceptance gives me is a chance at serenity. Doesn't get me to happiness, but if it can get me to serenity and inner peace, state of Zen, then from there I can get to happiness, joy, compassion, and so many other things. The third tool we teach, right? So now they're the aware observer of their thoughts. It's a 9-week program, so they're practicing being aware observer of their thoughts, practicing acceptance at any frustration that comes up, and now we bring in intention. How to have an intention, how to have a vision, how to know what you want. This, to some degree, is the law of attraction manifesting, but take the woo-woo out of it and bring in just the neuroscience of it. And this is how we train our inner system to know what it is, what we want. It comes with visualizations and all these different things we teach on it. So there's no way in life I can hit the bullseye of what I want if I don't know what I'm shooting for. It's so important to have an intention of what I really want. And let's be real, because I'm out there. I just took an entire school district of teachers through this. And you say, okay, write down what you want, write down your intention. And for like a full minute, like crickets, nobody moving, nobody writing, nothing. Because people don't really think about what they want. I can get trapped in trying to survive each day. I'm not like, wait, like all of a sudden New Year's resolutions. And I'm sitting like, I need to make a big resolution. Well, why can't I set a clear intention for myself 3 times a day? For the next 3 hours, I want to enjoy the rest of this interview. I want to laugh more. I want to sit and pet my dog for a bit. I want to see if I can cultivate more joy. Whatever it is, learning to run programming in my mind that is a clear set of programming that it's intentional is the skill, is the tool. So that's the third tool. Fourth tool, gratitude. Now, everyone kind of goes, oh, I know what that means. Sure. We're teaching it more specifically as a functional tool in hand, and for adults to know that the word gratitude for most younger generations comes with some baggage. When they hear gratitude, they feel guilt, because the only time they hear it, not all of it, but just I find it a pattern, because the only times they're hearing, well, you need to be more grateful for what you have, and how come you don't have more gratitude? So it's like a lot of times it's mixed up with some icky feelings in there. So we're saying this is a new conception. Gratitude is a tool, and we teach G-flipping, flipping a lens of gratitude. I hate homework. I'm grateful I have a free education. I can't stand my brother. I'm grateful I have siblings. Why? Well, why is obvious, but more so the how and the functionality. It's a very, very practical way to enact gratitude into daily life in a way that isn't, strictly emotional or woo, or I mean, listen, I love my gratitude list, but the real is if I don't stop and actually feel everything on that gratitude list, then it's just a mental exercise. So this is what we're teaching them, is how to feel gratitude in their hearts and use it as a practical tool rather than mentalize the concept. Next tool after that, so we've taught awareness, to be the aware observer, acceptance, radical acceptance, intention, how to have a vision, gratitude and chi flipping, compassion. From compassion to forgiveness and resentment. Ooh, right? Forgiveness and resentment for when it's um I'm so sorry for this.
Don't worry about it.
Forgiveness and resentment for when I'm going to go off camera for 10 seconds. I'm so sorry. Okay. Just one second.
He'll be right back. He's just gone to calm his dog down.
All right. Thank you for your patience.
No problem.
Okay. So forgiveness for when the frustration, the poison in the heart is so deep that acceptance won't do the job. If acceptance isn't deep enough, I need the industrial strength stuff. And this is learning the practice of forgiveness, that it's an inside job. It happens between me and myself. It's about letting go on the deepest level. Lastly, connection. That includes connection to each other, and the difference between when a parent says, "Hey, how's your day going?" and then they look at their phone, whether or not you actually feel connected to them, whether or not they're in the room with you. Connection to each other in service, connection to myself and my own soul, and connection to a higher power of my own understanding. This is a big one. And this is profound, to have 30 or 40 conscious Gen Z, Gen A teenagers in a room together, all talking about a higher power of their own understanding, where they're all allowed to bring whatever they bring. And the best part is they don't know what I believe. So we put up a whiteboard and we say, okay, what do you guys say out there? What do you hear out there? And they say God, Mother Earth, Father Sky, divine consciousness, universe with a capital U, source, creative, karma, law, cause and effect, love, science. Ooh, wait, science. Can science? Who here believes in science? Everybody. Who believes that science is a power greater than you? Everybody. Can a person use science as a way of connecting to the power and the awe and the majesty of the universe? Absolutely. For all those kids out there that don't have religion in their lives, or a household that talks about God or feels comfortable with it, well, they're just left out in this atheist no man's land until they become invited to come to the table, that they have an inner expression, that they can connect to the deepest reality through their own hearts. It's an inner journey that they have an invitation to. That's a powerful thing for the kids that maybe it doesn't get brought up in their household. And maybe they really do believe in science and it's magnificent and wondrous. Oh, but I can call that God if I want. Oh, okay. Well, that changes things.
It's a difficult concept for a lot of us. So it's
big.
It's wonderful to talk about, and it's wonderful to talk about for children, because you don't have to figure it out. You can just live in the space and come to your own conclusions as you meander through life, and life changes and you get hit with certain things. It's an ongoing thing. Consciousness.
It's as big as a topic as it gets, and it requires skill to navigate that conversation and not be about any person's dogma, but really an invitation for people to inquire within.
Absolutely. Well, I really want to thank you for being on the show today. This is, your project here is something that I am behind 1,000,000%, because, not again to put burden on the next generation. We really need them to help. We really need them.
So we are a 501c3 nonprofit. We rely on donations to help us go. So if you're moved by this, please go to indivisiblearts.org and see how you can participate. And even if it's volunteering or bringing ideas, we're open to crowdsourcing this reality together, but we need your help and we're here to serve.
Well, wonderful. And congratulations. Congratulations on the successes that you have made and obviously on the ones that are coming down the road. Thanks, Raphael, for being on the show. Everybody, we will talk to you next week on the Health Hub.
You have been listening to The Health Hub, hosted